But basically, all I was saying is these are experiences that kids will definitely remember. So, in continuation and hopefully keeping better time, I promise, I'd like to go on to another practical application that I use in class entitled Genius Hour. According to Don Weddick in 2015, he claims that Genius Hour is a movement that allows students to explore their own passions and encourages creativity in the classroom. It provides students a choice in what they learn during a set period of time during school. The notions of Genius Hour, or this idea of 20% time, if we think of a week as 100%, 20% would be one day a week, actually stems from Google's engineering employee model, where Google had challenged their engineers to have one day a week to go and do their own thinking, their own discoveries, their own construction, their own tinkering, according to Dr. Papert, something that could better the company. So actually, because of this movement, we've seen things like Gmail and Google Maps come as a result of that tinkering. So the same application has been applied to the classroom setting in this case. So I adopted Genius Hour 3 years ago when I started tinkering also with the idea of looking at traditional literature and the intersection of integrating digital literacies and the digital world in constructing meaning. I was thirsty to go on to the next level, and because students had already gained a lot of experience in the inquiry process, because if you think about after they've read the text and had those experiences with interviewing and podcasting and blogging, they had a lot of questions. So from the questions came the research, and from the research came the actual reporting of the research, which is where they created their campaigns. And then from the campaigns, they actually presented and constructed their actual products where they were able to share with a larger audience. So because they had this experience, I felt really comfortable merging into Genius Hour because this was something that was going to be very personal to them. This is very passion-based, passion-driven, and that we've already collectively as a class gone through the process where they could then now try it on their own. I have a little collage here of some of the examples of Genius Hours that I've had in the past. Part of what students do is that they go through a kind of what I like to call a Genius Hour boot camp, where we really talk about what students are passionate about, what they want to learn more about, what they're willing to have the hard fun about, given the big 8 principles of Dr. Papert. Knowing that they're really passionate about something and that they're not afraid to take the risks and try and do the prototyping and the work and the time it takes to get the job done. Another big idea of Papert. I'll kind of go in clockwise order here, starting with the Feed the Need project, and I'll keep this short and sweet. But I'm happy to talk about this and share any of my resources if anybody wants to go ahead and start Genius Hour in where they are. I've spoken to colleagues that have done this as small as 3rd grade and on up to seniors in high school who are doing a senior seminar using Genius Hour as a model. So Feed the Need, the idea behind this project was the idea of our current Hayworth food pantry was running low on stock because people typically donate throughout the holidays. These boys took it upon themselves to change that. So they studied nutrition, they worked with a nutritionist, and they also had a mentor in the food pantry coordinator. So they created a blog and they took pictures and they photojournaled their ideas throughout trying to get the word out to collect these canned goods. And by the time that they were finished with their project, they had collected and contributed over 400 canned goods to the food bank. Just with 2 kids, they were able to see the product of their give back. They were able to see that on the shelves and be a part of that. Their blog still continues this day, and these kids are sophomores. Over to the right, you see the 2 girls that one is in blue and one has glasses, and they talked about autism. We had a student currently right now. He is a junior. He is on the autism spectrum, but he's treated fairly poorly amongst his peers. And these two girls wanted to change the mindset of how we view autism. So, with Autism Appreciation Days and having Colson, the student, as their mentor, they really took the community into an avenue of just educating them about the idea of autism, insofar as uh, getting out information, creating a website, um, having the community buy light bulbs so that they can change their lights to blue in support of Colson, and they really changed the mindset of our students and how he is treated at school for the positive, and they're able to be a part of that change. As I keep going, you'll see the collage of pictures of teachers in the upper right-hand corner. That student believed that she loved art, but she also really loved making people happy. So she had the theory that if I made art and I give it to people, I'm going to be able to make people happy. So not only did she have an artist mentor, but she also had a psychologist as a mentor to help gain her thinking so that she would understand the brain synapses of happiness. And then also, giving her advice on like what types of art would make people happy. You'll see me making the goofy grin in the green shirt in the upper right hand corner. She had given me a beautiful flower pot that she had crafted and designed herself. And she still continues in the art program, and this was an experience for her that she often comes back and talks to my students that are currently going through Genius Hour, because it was very memorable experience in her learning process. If you take a look at the cupcakes that are down there, I had a student who was very passionate about baking and wanted to open a bakery. And so they went through the science of baking and had a baker as a mentor, and was also able to make enough cupcakes for the entire junior high. So her give back was definitely a popular give back, just because the kids, benefited from that. Sonating. Sonating is the blending of sewing and donating. This student wanted to learn about her grandma's techniques in sewing, but also wanted to donate back her creations as part of Give Back, or the civic engagement component of Genius Hour. So she learned how to make a quilt, and she and I were able to go to the baby fold, and she was able to donate that quilt after she had learned that trade. In the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see the two dudes with basketballs in their hands. They thought that basketball practice needed a little digital upgrading. So they decided to do a series of drills on YouTube videos so that they could also encourage younger players to come out for their team, but then also have any player of basketball improve their skills by having easy access to the drills that they would often just do in practice. Lastly, as you see the girls underneath Feed the Need and above the guys playing basketball, these two are my favorite story because their project was entitled If Kids Were Teachers. And so they really wanted to change the traditional mindset of the Hayworth Junior High staff, because they felt that a lot of teachers taught very traditionally. They didn't understand kids nowadays. And both of which at the time were very passionate about going into teaching. So they had a mentor and they picked me. Unfortunately, I don't know why, but they did. They picked me. So the three of us ventured into what teaching practices are and learning standards, designing lessons, and many of the things that you and I have grown accustomed to over our years of teaching. What's really funny about this is that they were able to not only make a public service video for teachers to watch in order to get them to think about changing some of the ways that they approach teaching and learning, but one of the girls walked away and said, "Mrs. Bonner, I cannot wait to be a teacher." But the other girl walked away and said, "Mrs. Bonner, I don't know how you do it. This job is too hard. I do not want to be a teacher." So I'm going to say that both of these experiences definitely help shape and form their idea of teaching and learning, and also, impacts their future career decisions as well. To kind of wrap things up, I wanted to show a picture again of the Lego Mindstorm, of the kids that are working there. Constructionism is the offshoot of constructivism, but it's really dealing with the